Hi dear students, welcome back to computer science class. In our previous session we have learned data models in database management system, data models like hierarchical data model, tree-like structure, network data model, graph-like, and relational data model, tabular. And we know as a relational data model is the most commonly used, most widely accepted data model, we have to focus mainly on this data model for the theory as well as the practical implementation. So in today's session we will be looking at relational database and some of the terminologies used in relational data model, or we can say relational database. So let's start with relational database. Actually, what is a relational database? It's a database based on what? Relational data model, right? And it store and provide access to data points that are related to each other. Actually, it store and provide access to data points, or we can say what? Provide access to database that are related to each other. And we know relational database is based on or working on relational data model. And in relational data model, data is arranged or stored in tables, right? Or in tabular structure. Then we know what each table consists of rows and columns, right? Columns and rows. And columns store a particular type of data, and rows store data of a particular entity, or we can say what? A data of particular type, or not a type actually, what? All the related data of a single person, okay, we can say, yeah. So it's based on relational data model, represent data in tables, of course we know that. Then each row or record is having a unique ID, or each row is identified based on a unique ID, and that unique ID is called key, okay. Then column holds an attribute. Record has a value for each attribute. We know a column holds an attribute, or column stores data of particular type. For example, roll number stores integer type, name stores varchar type. So that means a particular type. And record has a value for each attribute. Record means row. Okay, it stores data of a particular what we can say an entity, right? Yes. So, okay, this is all about what? Relational database. Relational database store and provide access to data points that are related to each other, and it stores data in table. Table consists of rows and columns. Then each row is identified by a unique ID, that's called key. Then we know what? Yes, okay. Then column holds an attribute, and record has a value for each attribute. Yes. Then we can look at the basic terminologies used in relational database. We have entity, attribute, tuple, cardinality, degree, and body of a relation. Okay, these are the main terminologies we are looking at. So we can start with entity. Actually, what is an entity? We know student is an entity, employee is an entity, item is an entity. What is actually an entity? Entity is something which has existence, or what? Something that exists and can store information. Okay, when we consider student as an entity, we can store what? A student has an existence, right? Student exists. Student as an entity or as an object exists and can store information or data on it. Which are the information that can be stored on student? Roll number, name, marks, all this kind of, right? Yes. So entity is something that exists and can store information. Then it's an object which can be distinctly identified. Okay, it's an object which can be distinctly identified, or we can say in an entity we'll have related data or related information. When we consider student as an entity, we'll have what? Related data that will be stored in what? Student entity, like roll number, name, marks. Okay, we will not have salary because it's not a related data. Okay, yes. Then example, student entity, employee entity, and okay, after that it becomes a name of the table, right? It becomes name of the relation or name of the table. So that's what an entity is. Okay. Then we have attribute. What is an attribute? Attribute is something, what? Set of values that can be stored, that consists of particular type. Okay, set of values of a particular type. That's what an attribute is. Here when we consider roll number, it's an attribute, right? It's an attribute, or we have two more terminologies to refer to attribute, that is column or field. Okay, all are same, yeah. So roll number is an attribute, or roll number as a field, or roll number as a column. Consists of set of values of a particular type. It's of what type? Integer type. It's of varying character type. It's also of varying character type. Gender is of what? Single character type, right? Yes. So it's a set of values of a particular type, represents a column. Each record broken into smaller pieces, right? This is a record actually. Okay, this is a record. One Rinku Tilak Nagar F. Okay, this is the record or a row, and this is broken down into pieces. That pieces are called columns or attributes. Okay, here this record one Rinku Tilak Nagar F is a record, and that is broken down into what? How many pieces? 4 pieces, and each piece can be what called as an attribute or a column or a field. Okay, yes. Then okay, it's called fields or columns of attributes and properties of entity. Okay, it starts properties of entity. Yeah. Then example, roll number, name, address, gender. These are the attributes or columns or fields of the entity student. Okay, or student entity. Okay, yes. Then we have tuple. What's a tuple? Each row of a relation is called a tuple. Each row in a relation is called a tuple, or we can say record. Okay, yes. Each row in a table, a single entry in a table. Okay, a single entry in a table is called what? A tuple. This is called a single entry, right? One Trinkun, Tilak Nagar F. Okay, it's a row, it's a record, or a tuple. Represents a set of related data. It represents a set of related data. One Rinku Tilak Nagar F. This is a kind of related data, right? Yes. Okay, there is no such salary, there is no such other kind of things, right? Okay, yes. So that's what a tuple is. Tuple is simply what? A record or row in a table. Okay, yes. Then it represents a set of related data. Okay, it's another point. Yeah. Then cardinality. We have cardinality and degree. It's to measure something. Okay, it's a measurement. Yeah. Cardinality means number of tuples. Number of tuples a relation contains. Number of tuples in a relation. And what will be the cardinality of this relation? What is the cardinality of student relation? How many tuples you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, right? So the value of cardinality is 10, because here in student relation or in student table we have 10 rows or 10 tuples. Okay, so what the value of cardinality or the cardinality of student is 10. Next we have degree. What do you mean by degree? It's a number of attributes. Okay, it's a number of attributes, or it's a number of columns, or it's a number of fields. Then what is the value of degree, or what is the degree of student? It is 4, right? We have only 4 columns. We have only 4 attributes or 4 fields. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Yes. So that's about cardinality and degree. Next we have domain. What do you mean by domain? Domain is nothing but the legal values or allowable values permitted for an attribute. Okay? Set of allowable values that are permitted, that is permitted for an attribute. Or we can say what? Legal values. Okay? Kind of data, set of all possible values that an attribute contain. Set of all possible values that an attribute contain. Example, gender. It can be either M or F. Okay. Here when we consider gender, the domain of gender. Here in gender we can have only 2 possible values, either F or M. No other values permitted. Okay. We expect either F or M in gender. Okay. So the domain of gender is either M or F. That is a legal value, that is a allowable value, that is the expected value. Okay, yes. So that's what domain is. Okay. Then finally we have body of a relation. That's an unordered set of 0 or more tuples. Okay. It's a set of what? It's an unordered set. It may not be in an order. Okay. Yes. It may not be ordered. It may not be ordered. Okay. That's what unordered is. It may not be in a specific order. Okay. Yes. Set of 0 or more tuples. Okay. Here in this we have 10 tuples, right? Yes. 10 rows or 10 records. Yeah. That's what body of relation is. And when we consider, okay, this student is an entity, or we can say what? Student is a table. Okay. It consists of 4 attributes: roll number, name, address, and gender. So the degree of student is 4, and the cardinality of student is 10, because we have 10 rows in this relation. And here we can consider roll number as a primary key. That's what PK is. Okay. And these are the tuples or rows or records. Okay, it's specified here. Then roll number, name, address, and gender are the attributes. Okay, so these are the basic terminologies used in relational database. Okay, let's have a quick revision on basic terminologies. First we have entity. Entity is something that has an existence. Okay, with what we can distinguish it. Okay, it's identifiable. Yeah. Student is an entity, and what employee is an entity, item is an entity. Finally it becomes the name of the table. Okay, then attribute, what it stores? Set of values of a particular type. For example, roll number stores integer, the other type varchar. Okay, those kind of things. Yeah. And each record broken into small pieces, and these are called field or record or column. Okay, yes. Then tuple. Tuple means each row in a table is called tuple. Okay, then represents set of related data. Then cardinality here. Okay, which are the tuples? Yeah, one Rinku. Okay, then two Aryan, then 10. Okay, finally yeah, and Alina. Okay, that are the what rows or tuples or records. Okay, then cardinality and degree, two measurements. Okay, yeah, cardinality number of rows, and degree number of columns or attributes. Okay, then domain set of allowable values for an attribute. Kind of data, okay, possible values for an attribute. Gender, it can be either M or F, no other values. Okay, then body, unknown set of 0 or more tuples. Okay, yes, 0 or more tuples, please, not 0 or more tuples. That means just at the time of, just after creating a table, there may not be any data, right? Yes, so it's also a body without any data. That's what 0 is, 0 or more tuples. We can have, here we have 10 tuples, it can be empty. Okay, yes, but you must note at the time of creating a table there must be at least one column. Okay, otherwise it may not exist in the database. Yeah, so okay, these are the basic terminologies and theoretical aspects of relational database. Okay, hope you get it. Yeah, so this is very important for us because in the coming classes or in the very near future we will be discussing the theory, the more the advanced theory as well as the implementation. Okay, so at the time we will be using all these terminologies. Okay, so a clear understanding of this is very essential, very necessary for you. Okay, so just go through all these topics. So this is all for the time being. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. See you in the next class.